Mr. Miller. Thank you, everyone. Mr. Miller, let's go now to page 53, guidance notes for hearing panel members, time cost recovery. And just so we're clear at the outset, there's a couple of hearings being tidied up at the moment. It was suggested to me that this possibly should have gone to the hearings committee, but I think for expediency, etc., that's why it came to council. So I'll just be quite clear about that. So, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is just a guidance note, just to make it clear what the entitlements are for councillors when sitting on a hearing panel. Reasonably self-explanatory. Basically, the key points are in the attachment, showing what entitlements there are in terms of payment and disbursements. Probably don't need to say much more than that.
So questions? Any questions? Very clear. Councillor Barker.
What exactly initiated this report? Yes, sir.
No,
I can also answer that. What's it echoing? Sorry, we're just trying to sort out the feedback on the microphone. The Remuneration Authority issued an updated determination, and our policy wasn't consistent with it, is my understanding of why this has come to you.
And certain questions couldn't be answered. There you go. So.
I'll ask Councillor Bevan that.
I initiated the review. There were some inconsistencies, so I asked for clarification in writing, and this has proved that my instincts were founded, because what we were being advised on was incorrect or outdated or something.
But it's tidy now, so it's clear. Someone happy to move that we receive this report on that basis? Not you. Councillor Pipe, thank you. You will move. Someone happy to second that? Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm happy for you to second. Councillor Pipe, any discussion?
Yes.
You wish to speak?
When I sat on Plan Change 5, we had an independent chair come up from the South Island, and he took us to dinner. He said, which was would go on the bill, but the wine would be paid for out of his own pocket. And he told Roger and I, who was the other commissioner, that he was getting $250 an hour. So while he was at the toilet, we got another bottle. Months later, he said, I was quite surprised that there was 3 bottles drunk that night.
I'll put the motion then. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Enviroschools. Who have we got here?
Well, we've got Sally, and I've emailed Sally to come. She's here. Perfect timing. Sally, do you want to come up?
Thank you. Thank you, Sally. Very just-in-time management there.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just thought I'd give you an update on the Enviroschools program as it's running in Hawke's Bay at present, and just have a short presentation to go with that. I did mention in the paper that we were going to be introducing Hannah Wilcox, but unfortunately Hannah's in Auckland at a funeral, so she's not here today, but I will mention a bit about what she's going to be doing. So the Enviroschools program is a nationwide program that's been running here in Hawke's Bay for since about 2003 was when we had our first Enviroschool, and as it says there, we get the majority of our funding from both the Regional Council and the Nina Braithwaite Trust. And just this year we've also secured a small bit of funding from Pampac Forest Products. So that's what the aims of the Enviroschools program is. And Yes, so we see a lot of evidence of that. The schools are doing great things, the students are empowered, doing lots of action both in their schools and out in their communities. So those are the different roles that make up the Enviroschools program. I sit here with the Regional Council, so we provide support to local facilitators. We have 3 local facilitators for this region, who I'll just show you shortly. So those are the different roles and the commitments that we expect from the schools, the facilitators, and the Toi Mata Foundation, who we sit under. So that's a picture of who we are. On the right-hand side, that's the team, Sonia, Hana, myself and Jenny. So Jenny works up in Wairoa, Hana is in CHB, and Sonia is based here and she looks after the Napier and Hastings schools. The picture on the left there, we recently had a presentation at Mayfair Kindergarten in Hastings, and Hana there is just presenting them with their certificate. They became a silver Enviroschool. Down here on the bottom right, in October this year, we had a combined meeting with kindergarten facilitators, and so they are now running the program within their own, both kindergarten associations, Hiratonga and Napier. So that came about on the 1st of July, and so they've been trained in the program. And just the picture there on the left, we ran a little hui down at Mataweka Marae in Waipawa for the Hiratonga Association. So the objectives there for Hawke's Bay, this is what we aim for. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. Just a few little photos to show you. Top left there is some chickens that they have down at Te Kokino School in Central Hawke's Bay, and this is their chicken tractor, and it's an old trampoline that the kids designed and built. And so they can move this around with their chickens around their gardens to feed the chickens and to help with the weeding in their vegetable gardens. Top right, that's Ruakaturi School up in Wairoa. That's their whole school, I think. Yep, it's just it's gone down a bit since then too. So they were doing a bronze reflection, and it was run by the school students, so it was a really lovely day. We have Onikawa School here on the left, looking after their vegetable gardens. And the other picture is Eskdale School went to Plant Hawke's Bay. They're doing a project with Plant Hawke's Bay. At the end of 2014, the Toi Mata Foundation and Enviroschools ran a nationwide census. So this was the largest environmental education for sustainability survey that's ever been conducted in New Zealand. They had a 73% return rate, which was really good. Here in Hawke's Bay, we had a 67% return rate. Just some of the highlights from that census. You can see there where waste is 100% of all Enviroschools are doing some type of waste recycling, composting, that sort of thing. We also measured 100% here in Hawke's Bay. The food production here in Hawke's Bay is 100%, and food distribution is also 100%. Waste minimisation, as I said, is right up there around the country. And with our Hawke's Bay Enviroschools, 97% of them are recycling, 84% of them are dealing with their organic waste. They also do other things like recycle their paper, so it may only be used once and they'll turn it over and use it again for another project. food production, as I said, lots of vegetable gardens, lots of fruit trees, and so they will share all those with their community as well as in their school. We have 26% of our schools have chickens, so they also have eggs to share, which is nice. So this just shows you some of the biodiversity projects that these schools are involved with. So here in Hawke's Bay, we of the 3,480 trees that were planted in 2014, 3,415 of those were native. So some of those would have been in their school grounds and also in restoration projects around their communities. The Enviroschools community is broadened with other community organisations. We have dealings in council with them with other teams from within regional council, science groups. They help with riparian planting with our open spaces team, and we also get science team involved with water testing, things like that, meeting schools out at streams. We have a relationship with DOC and also with local iwi and tapu. So some of the broader outcomes that we see within Enviroschools. One of the broader outcomes that we are looking here to foster in Hawke's Bay, and something that Hana is picking up, is developing a resource kitty for, especially for our Māori perspectives aspect of Enviroschools. So with Hana's understanding of tikanga and te reo, she's in a perfect position to be gathering stories and waiata and karakia from around our region, especially for Ngāti Kahungunu, because there is plenty of resources nationwide, but they may not be relevant to Ngāti Kahungunu. So that's what Hana has been working on. Right, this report here has just, I've just received this, that the Enviroschools and Toimata Foundation had completed. It's an evaluation report of the program, and the census, which was this one here, fits into that. It's one of 6 work streams that have gone into this report, and I'll leave a copy of that in the Councillors' Lounge. Just to mention that the Toimata Foundation receives funding from the Ministry for the Environment, and as part of that they need to show the Ministry for the Environment how the Enviroschools program fits some of their government directives, and that slide there, if you can read that, just as an example of some of those, how those directives are met with the Enviroschools program. So the Enviroschools program is really high performing, and it's achieving excellent results for the Toimata Foundation, and we believe we are meeting those directives from the Ministry for the Environment. And I'll just finally share with you, last week we were at Eskdale School, and Eskdale School can now call themselves a Green Gold Enviro School, which is very exciting. Back in 2011 was when they did a silver reflection, and so since that time they have embedded their Enviroschools practices, and now, so they're only our second Enviro school that's Green Gold in Hawke's Bay, so we are looking forward to many more. Thank you. That's the end. Any questions?
Councillor Scott.
Basic one. Can we have a copy of those slides? Because it's a very good cover of the report. And it would be good to have that information at
Okay.
our fingertips. Thank you.
Yep, sure.
Thanks, Sally. It basically just extends to primary schools, doesn't it?
It's in early childhood in primary schools.
Yeah.
We are in secondary schools, but not with a lot of success. We're just building up a relationship again with Tamatea High School.
Okay.
They have a new principal, so we're hoping that they are going to get more involved in the program. But it does seem to be difficult at secondary school level.
Well, they start to develop other interests, don't they? But if you get it into the little kids, they remember.
Yes.
Come back to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you happy to move when we get there? Okay. Further questions? Fantastic sum up of a report. You happy to move? And you happy to second? You wish to speak?
I do. Thanks, Sally. This is really lovely. I was fortunate to be invited along to a preschool Enviroschools Day. I'm not sure if they were silver or not, but anyway, last year in Central Hawke's Bay, and they had another one at Tiko Primary School came along as well, and Tana keeps me in touch with what's going on. If you get the opportunity, any of you, to go along to one of these days, and especially when they're becoming silver, bronze or gold, green gold, it's really special, and the excitement from the kids and seeing what they're learning, and even little ones, and it's really, really wonderful. So I know you love your job, and it's lovely to hear you in front of the council and see that passion coming through. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I want to endorse that. I've been fortunate to be able to go to a couple of schools because I've got a couple of little kids. It's fantastic, really. I mean, what these kids are learning, and they are. We're really creating a new generation of environmentalists, really, in these schools, and things which we never even thought about when Mike Mohi was a little boy, which is, of course, years ago.
Yes.
But so I think this is just absolutely. I think this is absolutely fantastic thing that you guys do. Well done.
Thank you.
Councillor Scott.
And I'd like to endorse those comments that Mike. I've been involved with the Enviroschools for a long time, been on various working parties that we've had on environmental education through this council, and of course been involved through when we did have a joint council environmental awards through the school system. So I've watched many of these schools go on quite extensive programs and being able to celebrate their successes. But I would like to raise one of the points that you raised was, some of the positive benefits, the outreach to the community, which we know again through that whole thing around the award system was a very obvious contributor. Years ago, before even Enviroschools started, Hastings Intermediate adopted an approach to an environmental education through the whole school, through the whole program. And the reasoning behind it was that it raised the children's self-awareness, their self-respect, and their respect for their environment, and their whole mental and social well-being lifted the performance of the school. I think it's probably worth one of your goals to look at some of the outcomes that comes in that personal growth.
Sure.
And that ongoing social awareness that is developed out of this, because it's probably quite clearly measurable, and just another really good outcome of this type of program. So keep up the good work, and I'm pleased that we're still in there.
Yep. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Further speakers?
Yes, and just recall that I know that when Councillor Graham was in the premise for 8 years, it brought back great memories. Ngā Whenua is, I've just flogged some plants from other projects and given them to schools at Takapau and Prongaho. So we're involved in an underhand way, and of course with Hana. But this is, as Councillor Dick said, you instill it in little kids, and it goes right through to their adulthood. This is a wonderful program, and I just a little bit disappointed that we, as a council, don't fund them a little bit more generously.
Sum up. You're good. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no.